2016 will mark Missouri's 30th LETR anniversary. In 1986, 5 years after the original torch run began in Wichita, Kansas, Ralph Biele, who was working for the Missouri State Highway Patrol as a colonel, became our founder. He had a vision for a 30-mile torch run back in that day, which he did, and look where we've grown to today. So please help me welcome our founder, still with us today, Colonel Ralph Biele, retired from the Missouri Highway Patrol. Come on up, Ralph.
This has been a great marriage between law enforcement and Special Olympics. And we talk about the 30th year, but actually the idea started 32 years ago when the Missouri Police Chiefs Association sent out a letter to several of the agencies in the state of Missouri to come for a meeting. And the meeting was to be about a fundraiser. They wanted to create a fundraiser to help some charity and also to enhance the name of law enforcement. And so we met here in Jeff City, and our charity of choice became Special Olympics. And we decided that we were going to hold a 5K run here in Jeff City, and this is how we were going to raise money. Of course, we were police officers. We knew nothing about runs. But police officers don't ask anybody anything because we think we know everything. So we had this 5K run, and we made, I think, $3,000. And we were very disappointed because we thought that we should have raised much more money. Again, being typical law enforcement people, we said it's not our fault. It's just we were in the wrong venue. We're not ready for St. Louis or Kansas City, but we need to go to Springfield. If we was in Springfield, we'd raise a lot of money. So 20 of us worked very hard through the year to have this run in Springfield. And Carl Wolf, you remember because you was one of those 20 people that helped put this run together. And in Springfield, instead of making $3,000, we made $2,000. So we decided that we each could have written a check for $100, so 20 of us, and raised the $2,000 and not had to do anything. So it was decided that at the next general meeting of the Missouri Police Chiefs Association, that I was to get up and say it was a good idea. Special Olympics got $5,000. I don't know if we got any name recognition out of it, but it was a failure, and we're just going to give it up. And then I think the meeting was held like in March or April, and I was sitting home in January. It was snowing on the weekend. Couldn't go anywhere, and I got thinking, it's a failure. Man, I hate that word. Of all the words in the dictionary, I hate the word failure, probably worse than any other. And I said, where did we go wrong? And all of a sudden, the light came on where we went wrong. Is we tried to do something we knew nothing about with the general public, but we should have done something with law enforcement, because that we knew something about. That was our organization. We could control that better. So I knew that the soldiers from Fort Leonard Wood ran the torch from the Capitol. The governor would be there, they'd light the torch, and the soldiers from Fort Leonard Wood would run it, however many miles it is down there, not as a fundraiser, but just as recognition of the summer games to be held at their facility. And I got thinking, why couldn't we run a torch from someplace into Jeff City, pass it off to the governor, let them light it, give it to the soldiers, and they could run it on to Fort Leonard Wood. Or if we'd used it as a fundraiser, we wouldn't be stepping on the toes of the soldiers at Fort Leonard Wood. And so I thought, Columbia is a natural spot to start. And so with the help of the Columbia Police Department and the University of Police, we got the use of the Hearns building, and that's where we were going to start the run. And this was really a sophisticated run, let me tell you. I went to the highway department and got some of the big, orange cones, and went and bought a roll of electrical black tape, and put on each one of the, like 1, 2, 3, all the way 30 of them all the way across, and then went out and measured and started at the Hearns building and went a mile and took my spray can and sprayed on the shoulder. That's where number 1 went, and then went another mile and sprayed another place. So I could say it was high tech when we started out. But then on the day of the run, again, we put out all the cones. We all met at the university at the Hearn Center, And when we started out, the Columbia Police Department, you know, they had so many runners, and they ran for their mile, and their police car followed them. And at the end of the mile, the Boone County Sheriff's Department was there, and so they would take it over, and the Columbia Police would get in their car, and they'd go to our spot in Jeff City where we were going to meet. And of course, we just came across, all the way across the 30 miles like that. We had 32 departments that responded and said they would like to run. And we said at the time, my plan was that you could send as many officers as you wanted, but you had to raise at least $100 per officer. And so again, I said we had 32 departments that responded, and we ran across, and then we met. We ran the torch down towards the Capitol. We got to St. Peter's Church there, where we met a Special Olympian who ran it in with us to the Capitol, to the governor. And at the end of all this, we made $15,000, and boy, did we think we were fundraisers. We thought we knew something about raising money. And so we did the same thing the next year, and we raised, I think, $30,000, and about the third year we raised $40,000, and then people who knew what they were doing kind of took over, and we started raising some real money. I know it's a terrible mistake to start saying names because there's so many people that you're going to forget and so forth. But there's 5 or 6 people that without them, this never would have happened. Rich Manahan, my Lord, what you did for us is just, and you still do. Thank you, sir. It's much appreciated. Randy Bain, what you did over in Columbia, and from about that second year on again, and all through the time, again, thank you, sir. We couldn't have done without you. Ray Lauer, I think I saw you here someplace. Ray took over and was LET RW chief for a while there. And again, thank you for what you did. Dave Pulaski, thank you, sir. And Jim Moran, what can I say? You know, Jim has just been above and beyond. To do this, you have to have a good marriage. And we had a good marriage with Special Olympics. And the reason we had a good marriage with Special Olympics was because of a person named Susan Stegman. Without her, my friends, she is the quarterback, and this never would have happened without her. Well, when she first came to work, and they sent her over to the first run, and she said, "What am I supposed to do?" And they said, "Follow Ralph Biele around," which was the greatest thing they could have said, because she found out how goofed up I was. And she took over and straightened this whole mess out with the people that I just mentioned and hundreds of other police officers, and this thing became a success. Because it grew, and then I was to put the plunges and on I could go. It became a tremendous success. The reason that this thing has been so successful is because of the athletes. Because when you can go out and raise money, and that's one thing, but if you're raising money and you don't get involved with the athletes, you're missing the best part of this program. You just get involved and you just cannot get away from it. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because all I did, and I've got much more recognition than I've ever should have for this run, because all I did was plant a seed. And these people I just said there, they took this seed and watered it and nurtured it, and they grew it into a giant red oak. And for that, I'm very appreciative. Thank you very much.